Yes, greetings and blessings and welcome. Welcome to the Justice and Healing TV program right here on Calabash TV. I am your host, Ras Dr. Wayne Rose, and we have a tremendous amount of information to share with you, family. We've been here in St. Lucia for 13 months. We decided we were coming in and we we're going to do some work that speaks to justice, that speaks to healing, restorative processes, that brings our humanity together. And I am also proud of what we have accomplished. And so what we're going to do this afternoon is that we're going to take a while, we're going to sit forward and we're going to look at some of the things that we have offered over the past 13 months. But more specifically, since the 22nd of July, where we rang in the 13th decade in the life of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. 30 years since the birth of the man. And of course, we also participated with the Cultural Development Foundation on the Emancipation initiatives, Emancipation Months of initiatives. We did lectures in schools, in communities, and we certainly were there for the unveiling of Petronelle, that beautiful St. Lucian woman who stood up for her rights, who demanded her justice and claimed her healing. Right there in Dennery, of course, many St. Lucians know that narrative very well. But we're going to just take a moment to just look forward at the ongoing initiatives that we have still unpacking up to the 17th of August, where we will celebrate the 135 years in the life of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. St. Lucia, we came in, we lived, we're conquering evil, we're conquering iniquity, we're conquering pain and grief and anger, and we are in the process of restoring ourselves to our own selves, restoring our family, restoring our humanity. You are the leaders, St. Lucia. You have done tremendously well for Ras Wayne. And in return, I offered 13 months of work for the benefit of my family here, and indeed for the family who are deserving of this work. It's called Justice and Healing. That's the initiative that we started at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center. The offerings that we have made in books, in conversations, in poetry competitions, in book clubs, in counseling sessions with families who have asked for and called for the conversations on restorative justice processes. Yes, we have offered, and we happily did so because we believe, in fact we know, we have lived it, the reality of what St. Lucia means in terms of restorative justice. I myself am not only the Secretary General of the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, I'm a client of St. Lucia and its justice initiative, its healing virtues, and especially through the offerings of the Mount Kailash Rejuvenation Center and the Right Honorable Priest Kailash Lyons, who served as I'm an own personal physician and restored me to myself, thus offering me the opportunity to lend my service in the vineyard of goodness and to serve the causes that I believe in. So that's what I do this evening, my family. We're going to talk. We're going to show you what has been happening since July 22nd and what is yet to come. So hold fast, take the ride with me as I show you in picture form and a little video also. We're just going to share with the family because this is our work of which we're very proud. Rastafari blessings, family. You ready with us? My producer, let's go to the screen. Give thanks.
I bring greetings to you with the cordial sentiments of St. Lucia's Rastafari community, the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, and its Justice and Healing, Judgment and Heaping Nyabingi initiative, Jaja and I. This letter is also to inform and share with you the Rastafari community's call for restorative justice through 7 key demands from Your Majesty's government. As an introduction, the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center umbrellas the 2022 Justice and Healing, Judgment and Heaping Nyabingi Initiative, Jaja and I, operating through a secretariat in Castries, St. Lucia. We are currently engaged in a series of cultural, educational, spiritual, and economic activities covering 130 years, 13 decades since the birth of Emperor Haile Selassie I, 188 years since the British Emancipation Declaration, and 135 years since the birth of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We have also actively collaborated with the Cultural Development Foundation in providing educational and cultural lectures and consultations on the importance, meaning, and requisite activities to facilitate true emancipation. It has been nearly 9 decades since the Rastafari movement established a moral presence supporting the African-Ethiopian resistance to injustices and retaining the dignity of an African lifestyle of goodness. Rastafari has also made and continue to make demands for reparations for past injustices while exploring the possibility for African repatriation. Since the Caribbean independence era of the 1960s to the 1980s, Rastafari suffered many injustices and indignities at the hands of both the former colonizers and the governments who took over from them. Ongoing persecutions and systematic atrocities continue to traumatize members of the Rastafari community across the Caribbean region. The persecutions have driven many to the edge of cultural and spiritual extinction, and of course the lives of many Rastafari children and elders. In response to these ongoing atrocities, the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center's Jaja and I Secretariat was established as a nerve center to address and ultimately resolve the challenges. The 13th decade since the birth of Rastafari is seen by the seers, prophets, and priests of Rastafari as a critical point in the Caribbean for reflection, redemption, and reconciliation among our people. I have also concluded that the die is truly cast and that there are only 2 choices left in the current reality of Western societies: justice and healing, or judgment and heaping of fire coals on the heads of the wicked. In fact, the judgment is inevitable, but some unwitting perpetrators of injustice against I can still be saved. Theirs is the choice: restorative justice or condemnation in judgment. The choices are clear. Further, the work of the Secretariat is focused, in part, on a moral campaign inclusive of communication, multimedia, and legal work to inform the public of the atrocities committed against our people and to claim the justice they deserve. I work includes collecting, documenting, and educating the public on the regional atrocities committed against our people, creating a documentary from Rastafari perspectives that promotes public awareness of the atrocities, owning, sharing, and using our own voices and the Caribbean voices to tell our story, and a cogent legal strategy that will pursue local and regional remedies against governments and agencies that are targeted for restorative justice. Your Excellency, it is I duty to make you aware of the following 7 points demand for restorative justice. Blessed love.
Wow, wow, wow. Blessed love. Family, I couldn't have said it better than the Right Honorable Empress Ethiopia Leons. And with her was our beloved and honorable sister, President of ICAR, Sister Danny James, Honorable Sister Danny James, both powerhouses right here in St. Lucia, who represented the Rastafari movement as mothers, as empresses who overstand what families require for restorative justice. So there you have it. You have been part of this journey from the very beginning, St. Lucia, where we promised to establish a center, and we did. We promised to create a documentary, and on screen you're actually seeing some of the members who were involved in the documentary. In fact, we had a screening at the National Cultural Center just last Wednesday, where we came together with members who are victors over atrocities. Their families are the representatives of goodness, good over evil. They too participated in the documentary filming, and they were present for the screening. And we took a picture. The documentary, we call it Revelation, revealing the truth of Rastafari in St. Lucia, cases for Rastafari restorative justice right here in St. Lucia. It was a beautiful, beautiful documentary witnessed by members of the Cultural Development Foundation, members of the St. Lucia family, the Rastafari community, and we had good conversations. People were reconciled, people shed tears, people greeted each other after 20, 30 years of being separated. That's what the restorative process is, where we have an opportunity, I and I, Ubuntu, being because you are, and you being because I am. We call for this, we spoke about it, and we have delivered our documentary. You heard the Right Honorable Empress of Ethiopia. We have made some demands. We have suffered, yes, but we have never been victims. We have never bowed to victimhood. We stand today victorious and still with an olive branch to the people of St. Lucia, the people of our region, many of whom have participated in atrocities against members of our community, Rastafari community, poor and indigenous communities. And we're still saying, today is a time of redemption, of justice, of healing, of sweeping from under the rug the mess of your dehumanizing of I and I, the mess of the ostracizing that took place for Rastafari people who wanted health services, who wanted education, who wanted jobs, who wanted transportation, but were all denied these things, the benefits of the state, simply because we stood on the sovereignty of our own Africanness, of our own humanity, of our own conscience. And we unpacked that narrative, we shared it with you. We've been doing that for months, sitting right here on Calabash TV. Now we've delivered in a documentary form something to further socialize the public. And we'll be socializing over the next year, especially since we're still collaborating with the Cultural Development Foundation. And I want to singularly salute the beloved Miss Drina Frederick. She don't like her name to be called often, but I've worked with the woman, and she is a woman of character, of integrity, of hard labor in delivering what we received in the emancipation celebrations to date. And I will say to you, my beloved sister, salute, well done, tenestilin, blessed love. We love you and we pray for your strength, your restorative strength. But that is where we're at. We're at a space where we have now delivered much of what we promised. And in that delivery, in those deliveries, we want to just further share images for those who missed it, conversations for those who want a quick catch up. So in the picture, as you see on screen, there is a poster that communicates what the documentary is about. Yes, and it has the logos of the Ubuntu movement, the logo of the Cultural Development Foundation, with whom I and I collaborated. It also has the images of my right honorable brother, myself, and participants of the film and attendees, some attendees of the screening. That, for those who missed it, we'll try to arrange again another public screening, perhaps within the month of August, before all of this and these celebrations pass, so that ones who are interested will have an opportunity to see this film before it goes into those film festivals, because you know when something is well done, you have to share it with the world. But until then, this is a product that belongs to the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center and certainly belongs to the family here in St. Lucia. I want then to say, representing the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, a hearty blessed love, a hearty thank you to the family of St. Lucia, to my own family at the MKRC, the Mount Kailash Rejuvenation Center, for standing tall with I, for being fully activated in the work and the mission as we spoke it and delivered it to the people with love. Yes, there might have been some ones who believed that they could just jump in on a wagon and just benefit simply because they are. But that's not Ubuntu. Ubuntu says, I am because you are. And therefore it's I. So, yeah, but it can't just come reap the corn in this year without planting it. You can't just jump on a wagon and think it's a band. No, it's not a band or a bandage. It's hard work. And for those who know hard work, those who have been in the vineyard with I, standing, toiling, and have delivered, they know the benefit of feel good. Because when you promise something and you deliver it, then you can pat yourself on the shoulder. And if your hand can reach all the way in the back, you pat that back, pat it, pat all your back, side if you want to. It's yours. And say, well done, my good and faithful self and servant of goodness. Listen, St. Lucia, I am having a good time because I promised to do some things. And through the grace of Kadamawe Haile Selassie I, my father, and Empress Menen, Asfa, my mother, representing the God and goddesses within I, we have delivered. And it's just such a joy. It's unspeakable, but I still go and talk as much as I can on this joy, whether you say it's unspeakable. But it's full of glory. And it's our glory. It's the Rastafari man and woman, the Rastafari family's glory that I speak to. And what a moment it is, was, and continues to be. Yes, so sharing some more images so that ones can see the full spectrum on Emancipation Day. In fact, let me just retrack a bit and remind ones that what we did from July 22nd through July 28th was to engage the spiritual rituals of Nyabingi. And for those who don't know what Nyabingi means, Nyabingi is an East African queen who fought the Portuguese in the 18th century and also the 19th century. She fought victoriously and was a thorn in the side of the oppressors. And therefore, in the 1930s, after Italy invaded Ethiopia, there was an Italian journalist who wrote a propaganda piece to say that Haile Selassie I was mobilizing over 100,000 or might have been 1 million Nyabingi warriors. He wrote that article believing that it would allow for the European sympathies to go toward Italy. Instead, that article reached the Gleaner in Jamaica and inspired young African people of African ascendancy in Jamaica, who now recognize that they too wanted to embody and represent the spirit of Nyabingi, which in essence represents death or a cessation of all forms of oppression. So if it is yellow, white, green, and sometimes black, whatever hue and context and content oppression comes, we call for its cessation. In fact, we call for its death. That is what Nyabingi represent. So when we sat in the mountains from July 22nd, and our priests and priestesses and our warriors and our prophets came together to the sounds of the drum, the African drum. We were invoking the very spirit of Queen Nyabinghi to bring our suffering, our injustices to an end, and to call for justice and healing for our family starting in St. Lucia. That's what we've been doing for those first 7 days. And by the way, for those who missed it, we're still having sabbatical services in the mountain at Mount Kalish Rejuvenation Center all the way up until August 17th. You may have at least a Sabbath. You can come. If the Spirit says come, come and join with us as the brothers and sisters from the Ethiopia Black International Congress, the Bobo Shanti, chant praises in the modality of Rastafari Isis, worship to our God, our King, our ancestors, those who have lived victoriously above the oppressive regimes of white supremacy. So, we're going to continue this conversation and share much more images and information with you. But since it is a business, we will take a small studio break and be right at you. Blessed love family. I love when we see. You would never know how much St. Lucia would be nice.
This year, we are conducting the 2022 National Population and Housing Census. We will be visiting every house in St. Lucia to conduct the census. When the enumerators visit you, they will introduce themselves, show their ID, their appointment letter, and explain the reason for their visit. Also on the ID, you will see details of the executing agency, which is the Central Statistical Office. They will be dressed in a green shirt, branded with the crest of the St. Lucia 2022 Population and Housing Census. Please cooperate with the enumerators and be truthful with your responses. All information will be treated in the strictest confidence. The information provided is to help government better serve your community. Anu Kote Setlisi.
Bob and Dave were very proud to buy their mom a new energy-saving fridge with lots of smart settings. They remember the old ways of energy saving. Mom always said, "Close the fridge, you're wasting current." Smart advice then, smart advice now. Close the fridge, you're wasting current. Saving energy is what's smart.
Our anthem says, "Love the land that gave us birth, the land that produces world-class cocoa beans that make the most sought-after chocolates produced by local entrepreneurs. Most are women. They also produce the most delicious plantain chips, sweet potato chips, banana chips, and so much more. So when you are shopping for a snack or chocolate for that special occasion, be it Easter, a birthday, or just because you love, love, love chocolates, ask for locally made chocolates and chips.
Yes, greetings and welcome again, St. Lucia, my family, to the Justice and Healing, Judgment and Heaping Nyabinghi Initiative. This is the Justice and Healing program on Calabash TV. I am your host, Dr. Wayne Rose, of the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center. And we're just doing a recap of the labor of love that we've been involved in over the past 13 months. And I say it's a labor of love because everything that we promise to do, that we set our minds to do, and I'm saying we, I and I, it's a team and it's a team effort. we have a comprehensive team led by the Secretary General or Chairperson of the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, Empress Aitio Piranda, as you witness her deliver that powerful message. We also have the Right Honorable Priest Kailash. We have people like Brother Chronix or Prophet Jamar, Brother Hakeem, Pierre. We also have a number of other ones who have been involved with the work of delivering the programmatic. We also collaborated. The Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center collaborated with the School of Sacrament. This is a new organization established over 17 months ago by Rastafari professors, doctors, lecturers at multiple universities across the Caribbean and North America. We decided we're going to start our own university. Why can't we? If anyone else can do a university, why can't I and I? So we started. We started it during COVID, so it provided an opportunity for us to use the virtual spaces. And what we found is that there's a tremendous amount of interest in Rastafari, not just in the exotic nature of how we look and what we eat and the herb we have been promoting, but in the virtues of Rastafari. Our ethos, the way we see the world, which is righteous altogether, the way we conduct ourselves, for the most part, righteous altogether, the way we see human existence and the potential for good in our human existence, which is good. People have a tremendous interest in the good, and therefore we've been unpacking and sharing with people virtually. But we had a tremendous opportunity this summer to bring students from the John Hopkins University, students and professors from the John Hopkins University into St. Lucia to come and have an immersive experience right at the Mount Kailash Rejuvenation Center and at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center. And those students came in. And what you're seeing on screen are students who actually came in and participated with us in that space. Yes? And I'm having a little problem identifying the slide again, but here it is, beautiful. The students came in, and just for the record, they met with members of the St. Lucia leadership. It was tremendous. I still have those testimonies from students because they shared their experiences via video. And what was most amazing to them is that the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, I think I got that right. St. Lucia will be mad if I didn't. But the Right Honorable Prime Minister opened his doors and welcomed I and our students to have a sit down with him about what his vision is for St. Lucia. And at the top of that vision, for those who may have forgotten, at the very top of that vision is an educated and economically empowered St. Lucia. Now, I'm not no politician. We've always had challenges with politicians who talk things through one side of the mouth and then it comes through the other side, and they have never been quite honest, at least for the most part. But here is a man of African ascendancy, very clearly. Even if others were, he certainly represents it fully, elected by his own people. And he has said some things that he wants to deliver on. And so far, he has done that. And important to I and I really is that he opened the door and said, come have a seat with me. Because you have ideas, the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, he is aware of what we're doing. And he recognized that we can add value. No, I'm not saying that he bought everything hook, line, and sinker. I'm saying he opened up spaces. And I want to say this, on this program, this Justice and Healing program, that Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center salutes this government and this man in particular for his leadership to date. And we're prepared, especially in the spaces of education, in the space of offering history and culture and the education that goes with history and culture. We're prepared to support the people of St. Lucia at the highest level. And this is why we brought in people from one of the most prestigious institutions in the world, the Johns Hopkins University. And of course, we didn't only bring those students to meet with the Honorable Prime Minister, we first made sure that they met with the Right Honorable Priest Kailash, who is my brother and one of the draws for I in St. Lucia. So it really is one of those beautiful things. You see the students, they met with the Honorable Prime Minister, they were on the mountain, they had such, their testimonials will ultimately be shared with the family of St. Lucia, because St. Lucia, yes, we may have some challenges here and there, and those challenges must be overcome. We must work on them together. But you have a tremendous country and tremendous opportunities, infinite possibilities to expand your horizon, to expand your growth and development. And I am going to participate in that. We're not going to partition the thing and take it apart. We're going to bring it together in full, so that together we can grow, together we can benefit, together St. Lucia will represent that leadership in the Caribbean that it has so far been demonstrating. I am proud to call myself then the most recent citizen of St. Lucia. I have that right, and I met with the Prime Minister. Who can take that right away from me right now? I go just declare it. I Lucian. Garçon, I Lucian. What are you talking about, man? I Lucian. But I'm proud, man. I'm happy because, you come into a space and you meet with good people. And you might meet one or two people not so good, or if them good, them don't know how to show the goodness. But for the most part, we meet with some good people who brought their ideas together. And, I shared our own ideas, and we said, let us do this in this way. And, we tweet it and we work it and we establish a physical location. We brought in the books for edification. By the way, we have the bookstore with cultural information that we're prepared now to share with the Ministry of Education, in the schools. I went in the schools, not diverting too far, but I need to say this to people. I went into both the secondary and primary schools here, and I took a lot of pictures of the books that I saw. And my family, I know a lot of you read them books and you might find some entertainment in them. But out of the 30 or so pictures that I took, maybe 3 or 4 of the books were of African images. All of them were about some other racial construction. No, we're not racist. In fact, it's our family. Everything comes out of us. But if we want people to be proud of their history, proud of themselves, proud of what they look at in the mirror, and be able to stand on their integrity, we better start showing some images of them in books, some stories about them in books. And at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, we have brought in every kind of book with every kind of images of African people, African Caribbean people, good people, dignified people, intelligent people, successful people who have done well. And we're going to share it with you, St. Lucia, so you can see the images of success in yourself. And so we're ready to complement the mission of the Ministry of Education, the mission of the leadership of this country as it lifts its people. Another thing the Prime Minister actually said, he says he wants at least one person in every household in St. Lucia to be a college, either having a college education or on their way to a college education. And he didn't say that because he believes that it's just to go to college. What he was saying and representing in my ears is that he wants people to lift themselves educationally, with knowledge, with practical knowledge that can be brought to bear on the development of this great country. And I tell you something, when I heard it, my heart indited a good matter. I was satisfied to hear a brother looking like myself, sitting in the office he sits, caring so much about his people. And I'm going to support as best as I can anyone who brings forward that narrative. To support the people is of the people, and of the people meaning of the Almighty, because the voice of the people is the voice of Kadamawi, Haile Selassie I. St. Lucia are so joyous that I'm going to keep talking, if you don't careful. And I want to show you some images. So let's go forward to the images again, my brother. So we've been having these wonderful, wonderful events. And our students who came in, they were able to experience both the food, the air, the culture of the mountain, Mount Kailash, but they also were able to participate or be parts of the rituals, witnessing it firsthand, where they did not have to go somewhere else and see what Bobo Shanti looked like. They were there with the Bobo Shanti family. They didn't have to go somewhere else and see what Nyabinghi looked like. They were right there with the Nyabinghi family. Bongo Wisely, Mama Danny, Mama Lavi, Bongo Vision, Ras Vision, Ras I Free and his father. Tremendous strength from the Rastafari family. We salute you, my brothers and sisters. I'm so proud to say I am Rastafari. Because what we were able to immerse these students in is a livity of Rastafari at the highest level. It was no gutter nonsense. Yes, acting as if we're not child of the emperor and empress of Ethiopia. We showed in all our regal colors and in all our administration of self what Rastafari sons and daughters should look like. And I'm so proud that we did. So yes, our students had that immersive experience. And on August the 1st, after we finished the rituals and did a little rejuvenation over the strong end and the sabbatical worship on the 30th and 31st, our students were able, and our family, led by the Ethiopia Black International Congress, priests and empresses, and our Nyabinghi family, we marched the streets of Castries, not to celebrate emancipation, but to remind the family that there has been a victory that is not yet celebrated. And that victory is black people surviving the atrocities of white supremacy. So it was black over white symbolically in even the way we carried ourselves, in the way we dressed ourselves, ensuring that we had items of black over white as a symbol of our successful struggle to date over systems of oppression. And we had the beautiful drums of Nyabinghi in the streets of Castries, representing the energy, the spiritual rituals of our people as we invoke the presence of the divine and the ancestors. All those who may not have witnessed it with their eyes were able to feel the energy of the drum pulsating through their spirit. The energy of Nyabinghi was real and righteous altogether. And that's what we delivered. And the streets of Castries can never be the same again. Because I am, because you are. Ubuntu, my dear, Ubuntu. Rastafari is real, Is real. And St. Lucia has witnessed it. They've been witnessing it for a while, and sometimes people don't understand it and they think it's this and that. But all it means, Ras means leader or head. Tafari means one to be revered, or someone to be revered or respected. So when I say I'm Rastafari, my family, I am saying, as you can see from these beautiful images of Rastafari, I and I are leaders to be respected. And so we have been leading ourselves and the family with our lifestyle, the way we eat, the way we view the world, and we want to remind the family that although we have survived the atrocities, as the Right Honorable Empress of Ethiopia said in that beautiful speech, we have some demands to make of the family in order for justice to become a reality. Those demands, 7 points, have been laid forward, have been shared with the Governor General, have been copied to all the relevant ministries and ministers. so that they too can digest it, can understand it, and perhaps have the sit-down conversation. Because what? We're family. Garçon, I said we're family. So we have to talk and resolve some things. Otherwise, injustice will continue to prevail. And if the injustice continue to prevail, it's going to be a fire. A hot, hot fire. A nigh bingy fire, which calls for a cessation or death to all forms of oppression. Don't get caught in that judgment, Let us have that sit down. Go and take a small break and get forward again to the final segment where we show some more images and we laugh a little and talk. Family, I love you, remember that.
In the event of a disaster, you have thought about emergency exits for your company staff and visitors. But do you check them regularly? Is your company really prepared for a disaster? Download your checklist at CaribbeanChambers.net.
Bob and Dave were very proud to buy their mom a new energy-saving fridge with lots of smart settings. They remember the old ways of energy saving. Mom always said, "Close the fridge, you're wasting current." Smart advice then, smart advice now. Close the fridge, you're wasting current. Saving energy is what's smart.
Yes, greetings and welcome again to the Justice and Healing TV program right here on Calabash Station. We want to send our gratitude to our beloved brother Randall, who has been with us on this journey toward edifying the community, sharing information with the community about our vision for justice, our vision for healing, our vision for how St. Lucia advances itself. Not because I say so, but because St. Lucia has long been a leader in the Caribbean and is now asserting its position toward leadership again. So we're giving thanks for your service, Brother Randall. We're paying all forms of justice, We're not going to hold back anyone's justice. We're going to advance it to you so that you know that we appreciate, love you. We recognize your service and your work. And for all those people who have been part of our project from June the 24th, 2021, all the way up to this moment, I want to say thank you so very much. For those who started and got weary and fell by the wayside, it's okay. Pick yourself up and dust yourself off and see if you can catch up. Because we're moving, It's a train that is not stopping. So if you can run fast, it will catch us. But we're on a trajectory that cannot be stopped. So remember that. For all of you who may have some sound and whatever, it's okay. We didn't come to beg anything. We didn't come to show off and call ourselves doctor this and doctor that. I am a doctor. I have earned that with a PhD in history, in African diaspora history, African American history, and American history. And I teach Caribbean spirituality and Caribbean culture at multiple levels, including the graduate school level. So I have all of that. But I didn't come to throw it in your face, St. Lucia. I came to represent my gifts, to present my own talents in service of the greater good, because I have received benefits. I have received healing right here in St. Lucia. What better way then to pay it forward than to offer myself as a living testimony, holy and acceptable in reasonable service. That's what I'm about. That's what Ubuntu is. Because St. Lucia is, I am restored to my own health. And proudly so. So, yeah man, what we're doing then is just to say thank you. And we're saying thank you in picture form this evening. Where we also, when I say we're not begging anything, we have ideas about economics in St. Lucia. Ideas that some people have not even visited yet. Or revisited. For instance, over 100 years ago, our Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who by the way is celebrating 135 years since his birth on the 17th of this month, August, powerful month. He had a shipping concept, not just a concept, but he made it a reality, where he established a Black Star Liner shipping company, and he bought ships and he started trading in and around the region, North America, and also seeking to extend into Africa. We had some challenges, he had some challenges, but we're taking that model of maritime economics to say, let us use the seas within the Eastern Caribbean to establish a business, a trading business, a movement of goods, people, and services among ourselves, because we're capable. We are liberated. By the way, is this month we celebrated emancipation? Well, as emancipated people, thinkers, planners, people who have the know-how to organize our own economics, we are saying that we need a piece of the maritime stake, a piece of the maritime economic stake. It should not only be left in the hands of those who believe that they have 150, 200 years. Those were the enslavers of our people, some of them, who are still in shipbuilding, who want to cut that umbilical cord. They're sucking us for too long. At least they're sucking the transportation cost out of us, my goodness. Just to get people into St. Lucia recently was ridiculous as a cost. But better yet, overstand this. If tomorrow morning some leader from somewhere decide that they are going to lock down the world for whatever reason they decide, if they say it's a pandemic, a scamdemic, or a pandemic, whatever, we still going to need to have movement between ourselves, especially as independent thinkers. We want to see the science and examine it, and if it's right, then we act accordingly. And if it's wrong, or whatever the thing is, as sovereign beings and as nations, we want to be engaged in our own economic activity. And therefore, we're looking at the maritime economic model of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, established over 100 years ago. And we have picked up that model. We're now dusting it off. We had 3 days of symposium where we sat down and we look at the history, we look at our aims and objectives, we look at what is achievable, we look at funding models, and now we're in the conversations with our legal team, with our funding strategists, and with members of the family who have the skill sets, the know-how, not pretenders, and people who may say, well, yeah, I run a canoe or I run a little boat here and there. That is okay. If it's a livelihood, we celebrate you for that. But we are now talking about ensuring that we have the highest quality of qualified individuals in business, in maritime knowledge. And we're going to engage maritime services for ourselves. That is our mission. We're going to look at it in terms of how it employs young St. Lucians. We're going to talk about how we get people trained so that our educational model can tilt away from some of the non-progressive degrees that many of us have and that can't even make you support your family. And we're going to look at things that going to make us able to sustain ourselves for the next 500 years of work. So we can look at the model and put a stamp, our stamp on it, and saying, this is because I am. And you can call my name 500 years down the road because I will be there. So we look at the Honorable Marcus Garvey's model, and we're now in conversations. And what you're seeing on the screen, you have some shots from the Economic Forum where we met with the Honorable Minister of Commerce, the Honorable Emma Eppolite. You know, I not English, you know, I copied from a brethren to write honorable, as you say, I'm not English, so I can make an English mistake. And I'm not French, by the way, but je parle français, piti pou. Yeah? So I know a little bit, so watch on the thought that pat around me, because I can pick up when you're cussing me and tracing me off. But nonetheless, we met with the Minister of Commerce, as you can see the picture here in the foreground. We met with the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Education. We met with the Minister of Commerce, as I said, and we're not dropping their names and talking that we meet them because that is so important. You know. Why it is important is because these are the movers and shakers of today who, through their work, will impact the youth and the generations of tomorrow. And I are interested in a sustainable St. Lucia, a sustainable generation of tomorrow, because they will represent our highest ethos, our highest standards of being. So we investing our time now in them. Therefore, we call on the leadership, and they have stepped up. At least they come and sit and talk with us. And we salute you for that. And by the way, Minister of Education, please anticipate a call soon, because your office is an important one, as with the rest of these ministers, where we must engage and talk about how best to bring the programs that you desire and St. Lucia really deserves to them in the culture, history, and other social and business sciences, so that we can grow and develop. So we met with these people. And so for those of you who miss it again, is your loss. But, you know, these moments will not reoccur. All you can have now are the images that I so graciously share with you, because I'm one of them good man. I'm a good man. So St. Lucia, blessed love again, we're giving thanks. As I said, this image in particular I pull forward because it represents the nature of the leadership of St. Lucia, at least to I. And I don't want to dwell too much on this, because next thing you go, your boy is politician and you're bowing to politician. I don't bow to no one. But I salute leadership, good leadership, when it comes in whatever format. Even if it comes in a moment, I will salute it in that moment, because it represents the possibility for growth, the possibility for advancing in the directions of goodness. And it's only man can do that. And man with a certain position can do it faster than man who's striving to get there. So for those people sitting in these positions, I salute you, Honorable Dr. Minister Hilaire. Salute you, my Honorable Minister of Education. Salute you, my Right Honorable Prime Minister Pierre. And salute the Rastafari family who was there, not making sure Raswayne doesn't stand alone in the midst of these giants, but standing as a giant himself, fully protected by the Ethiopia Black International Congress, Africa Black International Congress. Yeah, but the soldiers were there on guard, on duty, but also celebrating with I and I. We give thanks, man. We really give thanks. And of course, never, ever to be left in the dust, to be left without proper representation, are the woman of Rastafari, who came together in unison to have a woman retreat. Healing Mother Earth was the titling, where they were retreating themselves, looking at their lives, looking at conversations among themselves, looking at physical ways they will continue to lift themselves so they can serve both themselves, their families, and their nation states, and the ethos of goodness. And they came together. I want to celebrate them. I was not part of the grouping, so I cannot tell you what happened, but I could happily say it seemed to have happened very well, because when goddesses come together, they produce beautiful sons and daughters, princes and princesses, kings and queens. I am a product of a goddess, and look at me, I and I. So yeah, man, we celebrate and salute the woman of St. Lucia, the Rastafari woman who came together through leadership. And what examples, goodness. You know, they didn't ask for anything. They established themselves. And Rastafari is not begging anything. All we're saying in the context of this work is that where justice needs to be had, let us have it. And let us have it in a way that don't undermine and demean our righteous cause. And if you believe in righteousness, if you believe in justice, let us have that conversation about how best we engage this righteous act, these righteous acts. 7 demands, including subventions in education, in health, in mental health, in land ownership, in the empowerment of our use and movement of the sacred herb that people are now monetizing. In the ecological sustainability of our earth, Rastafari have been standing on these principles and queensiples, these demands. And we have reiterated them in written form and will continue to speak on them until justice is met. Because without that justice, my family, there can be no healing. You want to heal? You really want to heal? Be just. Be just to yourself, to your family, to this component of the family, the Rastafari man and woman. Because in doing so, you're going to get your healing. Family, it's been a tremendous journey. I am just so grateful, so thankful. St. Lucia, you hold a special place in my heart. You are the joy of the moment. You are the celebrity in my life of the moment. So I continue to celebrate because you have given me a mission. You gave me a mission, and I can say without compromise that I delivered to the fullest extent of my capacity and capability. And I pray that the work will have resonance in your reality because I am because of you. I am because of you, and I'm thankful to you. So coming forward then, as we are now on the latter part, the final stages of our 28 days of initiatives, I want to bring to your attention some of the programs still awaiting your presence, your attendance, your full participation. That sounds French, don't it? Full participation, meaning you're fully going to come and be part of what we're doing. It starts with, then, our Marcus Garvey lecture. Will be at 5 p.m. at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center on August the 14th. That's Sunday, August the 14th at 5 p.m. This particular lecture is one of justice, because while we're celebrating the life, 135 years in the life of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, what we're equally doing in that narrative is to look at the wives of Marcus Garvey, Amy Ashwood and Amy J. Garvey, who were the vanguards, are the vanguards of the Marcus Garvey movement. Without Amy Ashwood, his first wife, you would never have had a start of the UNIA and an introduction into the moneyed class of Jamaica who helped to fund the initial initiatives that the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey was involved with. And she also became a mouthpiece for the Garvey movement, but I'm not giving you too much of the lecture right now. I just want you to know that. And without Amy J. Garvey, we would not have the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. It's she who compiled that book from his speeches, and she edited it so that it was, received well by all of us, and we now celebrate it. In fact, it is responsible for liberating many African minds and other minds of people who can see the divine within the man himself, the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey. So come forward to that lecture. Again, Sunday the 14th at 5 p.m. at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center right across from the Janu Credit Union. I look forward to you being there. And right after that, on Tuesday the 16th of August, at the National Cultural Center, I is celebrating and hosting a grand emancipation poetry slam competition. This will focus entirely on the theme of emancipation. And again, we will have cash prizes. Those prizes are lifted above where we had it. From where we had it, we're going to make sure that it represents the emancipation energy. So we'll have first, second, and third places. We'll have judges. We'll have entertainment. We're calling on people who want to be part of it and have a skill set. Come showcase. Come show off your skill sets. It might open up an opportunity for you that you never knew was possible. Because great things happen when you come within the vine, within the root and the vine of goodness. So come and be part of this goodness. And then, of course, we've proposed some things to happen on the birthday of the Right Honorable Marcus Garvey. Perhaps a Rastafari Market Day. Yes? But nonetheless, we know that we will celebrate from the 14th all the way to the 17th in whatever ways you want to celebrate then. Join with I and I as we say, I am because you are. And because I am calling for justice, you're calling for justice. And because I'm calling for healing, you're calling for healing. And by the way, it's still going to be a fire on the head of the wicked. Don't be a wicked. Don't be a parasite. And don't be a stumbling block for Jaja and I. Rastafari love, my family. Blessed love, I will see you again within a strong, which is 7 days. Because Rastafari never weak or weary. Perfect love, my family. Mwah, we love you, you know. Never blow a kiss at you before, but why not? So it's a time for a first time, right? It's now. Time to be happy is now. Please do it. Oh, love you, St. Lucia. Be well, Rastafari.